because of quarantine, I've recently re-binged Dexter, which if
So
anyone
good.
who's watching, if you watch Dexter, you need to watch Dexter. It's
watched,
so good.
Only watched the first 7 seasons, though.
I think it's worth watching to the end, but it is not a payoff at all.
I will disown you as a friend if you tell me that the 8th season of Dexter is worth watching. It is one of the most horrendous versions of TV I've ever watched.
But that's like saying watch Game of Thrones, but don't finish it.
If I could not watch season 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones, I would go back and erase it from my memory.
Whoa. Season 7 was just fine.
No.
Season 8, Season 7 was good.
Hey, spoilers. Last time I watched the show, the Viper's head was smashed by the...
Oh my god, you're still there.
No, season 8, again, I'll let you get back to your train of thought with Dexter here in a second.
Sorry.
Dexter season 8 literally takes every character that I've loved and flips them upside down and is like, hey, here's the character now. And it has nothing to do with anything that was written before that. And it's just completely unbelievable. The way that season 7 of Dexter ended was immaculate. It should have ended right there, and you're left to interpret what happened. I have an ending for Dexter that I will get into after you're done with your train of thought that I want to know how you think, because I have a way that I think it should have ended, and I think it would have been fantastic. But go on.
Right.
Clayton's ears are perking up.
Yeah, he's like, oh, we're talking about Dexter now, or no more Harry Potter talk? Is that what so for me, one of the most unique things about Dexter, and it's not something that can always be done, but it's the narrative tool. Being inside Dexter's head is one of the things that makes that show not just stand apart, but makes it so unique. Because Dexter, as like an emotionally underdeveloped character, it's interesting to see how he processes events and to actually see how he starts to grow. He doesn't really start to grow emotions per se, but he creates these interesting attachments that are almost equal to an emotion. And if you were to have a character like Dexter exist in a traditional medium where it's all show, don't tell, you would be missing a lot of critical detail on his character's development because you're not inside his head. And for me, one of the biggest things with Harry Potter is I would like the show to utilize that tool. Harry Potter as a book series is always on Harry's shoulder. So this is a tool that would work well because you're never really going off on side tangents with other characters. You're always with Harry.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest problems with movies is Harry is a whiny bitch. And, and maybe that's because we're not in his head. I do think that the Harry in the movies is written differently than the Harry in the books, but I can't help but think that part of that is because we don't see how he's connecting the dots to bring him to what he's saying next or what his next action is.
Yeah.
And Harry as a character doesn't get by with dumb luck. He is a talented wizard, and he is incredibly thoughtful, and his brain is always going. And to have that kind of connection with the protagonist and grow up with him, we're not just seeing like how he grows up and acts with people, but we're seeing how his internal thought is evolving over years, would be an extra level of immersion that I think would be perfect for the show.
But I would caution you that don't forget that, like, especially from like a writing perspective, in screenwriting, especially voiceover is like the biggest sin you can commit unless it's really good. And in the books, I don't even disagree with you. I'm just sort of pitching this out there, but in the books, it's third person limited. It's not first person. So I feel like the first time you hear Harry going like, I was so upset and I was this, I feel like it might start to seem way more angsty and way more whiny than you might want it to. So if you could figure out a way to make it not that way, I think you're right, but I feel like it's a really fine line.
Because I've also always thought, because of the narration aspect, I think the show is that the movies are missing. I've always believed Harry Potter would be perfect for an anime as well.
Yes.
I think that the writing style and the visual style, honestly, how some scenes are just like described, seems like an anime experience.
That would work there.
Yeah.
But that's, again, for me, my creative quest would be using a narrative tool.
Yeah.